Hello, we are enjoying life in San Diego after 50. Thank you for joining us. This is part 3 of our segment, Starting Over at 50, My Future Husband. In Japan, they believe that your blood type influences your personality. For instance, people with A blood type are believed to be detail-oriented and perfectionists, while people with B blood type are creative and blunt, often saying what comes to their mind without consequence. So an AB blood type person is a combination of the two blood types. My blood type is A, and my husband's is AB, so I need to set the tone because it plays a lot into our daily interaction. As an example, about a year after we got married, I came home from work and announced to him, "Honey, if the neighbors complain about a crazy middle-aged Asian woman driving a white car being a nuisance, that's me." He started to laugh uncontrollably, and I really didn't think it was that funny, so against my better judgment, I decided to ask him, "What's so funny?" Literally in between gasps of air, he was finally able to blurt out, "The fact that you think you are middle-aged." So yes, he's a typical AB blood type person, and he does keep life quite interesting to say the least. Now going back to how we met, as I mentioned in the previous episode, we spoke on the phone for about a week and then we decided it was time to meet. We met on a Friday and had a nice dinner with amazing conversation. Not to sound cliche, but it really felt familiar and not awkward at all. We both didn't want the date to end, and so we made plans to get together again the next day for a picnic lunch. The next morning finally came, so I drove over to his place and we decided on the details. Our destination was Torrey Pines, which we both have never been to, so he entered it into his GPS and off we went. We drove around for about an hour before we realized we were lost. He decided to turn off the GPS and see if we could just figure out the directions because we kept seeing the signs for Torrey Pines. Ultimately, we were not able to find Torrey Pines, but we found a parking area high up on a hill and we were both starving, so we decided to have lunch at the beach instead. We parked and headed towards the ocean and saw that it was a steep climb down, but there was a path, so we decided to follow it. With him leading the way and it being about a 20-minute hike down, we were both concentrating on our footing that we were not able to pay any attention to the scene below. Once we finally reached the bottom safely, we both looked up at the same time and I was mortified. Everyone was naked. I immediately turned to him and the look on his face can only be described as extreme panic. He quickly turned to me and pleaded, "I'm so sorry. I did not know this was a nude beach. You cannot make this stuff up." So yes, our second date was at a nude beach. We should have just turned around and go home, but we were both so hungry and the climb back up was so steep that we agreed to just try to find a secluded area to rest and eat our lunch. My poor husband, well, date at the time, had to guide me as if I was blind because I refused to look up. After walking for what felt like forever, he finally said, "We can sit here. There's no one here." Rah! We sat down and started to eat our lunch, and as I casually looked over to my left, there he was, a naked man, sitting about 20 feet away. I quickly closed my eyes, continued eating, and began to pray that no other naked person would show up in front of us. In his defense, I can see how he missed the guy because he was sitting behind a huge umbrella, so it was hard to notice him as we passed in front of him, but regretfully, from where I was sitting, I could see him clear as day. After we finally made it back to the truck, I turned to him and said, "I am traumatized for life. I may need therapy for this." To which he simply replied, "You and I both, sister," and drove us back to his place. In retrospect, I have to say, I was impressed with the way he handled himself and the situation. I liked the way he kept trying and didn't just give up. On the drive home, he was so disappointed because he believed that I would not see him again, but in my heart, I already knew he was the one. In any relationship, finding the right person, as difficult as it may be, is probably the easiest part. Working at staying together and through differences requires a lot of patience, compassion, compromise, and humor. Yes, humor, for us anyway. We will get into the start of our relationship next time. Thank you for watching.